Alright class, first off as always, good day. Today we're going to be talking about monks, knights, and the Crusades. Okay, so it's going to be pretty interesting. You're going to see the contrast, the difference between a monk and a knight, and then we're going to go over 3 of the Crusades. Now, in total, there were 8 major ones, but I believe in total there was like 18, something like that, 17 Crusades. So we're going to talk about the main ones, and then a little known fact one, and a kind of little story that goes with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The objective, we're going to analyze how the Christian church grew more powerful. Then we're going to examine the equipment used by knights of the Middle Ages, Dark Ages. Okay, and then we're going to create an argument on whether Saladin would have fought to the last man. Okay, let's go to the warm-up. Alright, so here's your warm-up picture. Okay, the first question asks you basically what's going on here. So analyze the picture, look at the background, look at the whole thing. Basically tell me what's going on here. The second question asks you, do you think this child here is, sick and getting care? Do you think that the kid may be injured and they're trying to get some help? Or do you think maybe that this parent just bringing the kid to get blessed? All right, so which one do you think? Okay, and be sure you put that down for question number 2. And why do you think that? Okay, so write your response, pause the video. Okay, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right, so when Rome fell, basically the Christian Catholic Church continued. Now, for every small town, there's a parish. That's a small group of worshipers. And a group of these worshipers, they needed someone to lead them. This is where they would get the bishops. Okay, now these bishops, there's a bunch of them, they get together and they need someone to lead them. That would be the Pope. Okay, in the Catholic Church, that's the Pope. He is the top priest, and then it breaks down. Okay, nowadays there's cardinals, there's bishops, and things like that. So there's quite a list. But back then it was just boom, boom, boom. Because again, it wasn't as worldwide as it is now. Okay, here's things. Monks. These guys were dedicated to God. Okay, in the 6th century, there's this guy named Benedict. Okay, he's now known as Saint Benedict. Basically, he had this belief that, the purpose of life is to help others. You're doing things in the name of God, So that's why he is the motto, that is all things God may be glorified. It's not about you. It's about helping others, So these guys had different jobs. They would be social workers helping out the community, things like that. They'd be teachers, teaching people not only reading and writing, but also like how to plant and, things like that. Useful things. They'd be doctors, taking care of the sick, the hurt, and things like that. They were well educated in that, how to take care of somebody. And basically, if someone's traveling from one place to another and they're lost, they need food, they need help, the monks would help them. Because again, they did not care about themselves. It wasn't about like, oh, I'm going to only help you if I get paid. No, it was just, hey, you need help. You're injured. Let me take care of you. Let me help you. It was very selfless of them. And they were basically known as the heroes of Christianity. That these monks only thought about others and never themselves. Doing the godly thing of helping others. Okay? Now you're going to see a big difference between them and knights. Knights, on the other hand, swore an oath of loyalty to their leader, basically the person who's paying them. And they fought for them. They were told, go here, fight over here, kill these people. They would do it. No questions asked. Hey, you're paying me, so I'm going to do it. So like a student said in class, were they basically mercenaries? In a sense, kind of. They were awarded lands by their vessels. Okay, they took care of basically the people who hired them took care of their needs. You need food? No problem. You need a new bed? No problem. You need a horse? Here. But you got to be good with it, because if you suck on a horse, then we're not going to give you a really good horse because you're just going to fall and or might actually accidentally kill the horse. You know, at the beginning of the knighthood, only the noble people could be knights. A nobleman's third son, fourth son, fifth son, the ones who were not going to inherit the land, who were not going to be carrying on the name, these guys would be knights. You know, near the end of the Dark Ages, the whole mythological thing of the knighthood starts to change, where it's a chivalry. They help a woman, off her horse, they help her up onto the horse. They are seen as these Christian warriors, good men and things like that. So they're glorified in the sense. Okay. Now, why are there no knights nowadays? What happened to them? Basically, what happened is technology advanced. These guys would wear this armor. The average weight of it was like 90 pounds. The chainmail they wore, the links that they wore underneath, it could weigh anywhere from 40 to 70 pounds. Their guards, on the forearms, shoulder, as you can see from the picture, the chest, all that could easily weigh 40 to 70 pounds, depending if they had light, medium, or heavy armor. How much did you want to get protected on you? You know, and the sword, even the sword weighed quite a bit. It could weigh anywhere from 2.5 pounds to 4-5 pounds. I read somewhere along the line that I believe it was William Wallace had like almost a 6-foot size sword, and that thing weighed like 12 pounds. It was like ridiculously heavy, for being a sword. And yeah, so these guys, with the invention of guns and things like that, there's in cannons, there's no need to have knights if they're charging with the horses and all of a sudden a cannon's just blowing off right next to them, throws them off. They got like 90 pounds on them. They're going to take forever to get up, So that's why technology basically erased the knights. So now that you know what a knight and a monk are and what they do and stuff like that, which one do you think you would be better at? Do you think you'd be better as a monk, or do you think you'd be better as a knight? And why do you say this? Why do you say, yes, I'd be a better knight? Or why do you say you'd be a better monk? Okay, so go ahead, write down your response. Okay, but we're going to be moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right, so the Crusades, they lasted for about 200 years, from 1100 to 1300. There were like 8 major ones, but they're in total, the little tiny ones, I believe there was like 17, 18 of them in total. The thing is, what happened is the relationship between the Muslims and the Christians started to get pretty sour. Okay, they started to expand their territories, spread their influence, and they kind of meshed in certain areas. And then you got this group versus this group. My religion's better than yours. Mine is right, yours is wrong. And again, once you talk about people's religion, it gets kind of bad. So what happened is the Byzantine people were having troubles with these Turks and some Muslims. So what they did is they asked Pope Urban II for help. So Pope Urban's like, okay, how am I going to get these guys some help? And he looks at Britain and France. thing is, Britain and France, they hate each other. They honestly, at this time, they hate each other really badly, and they're fighting. So Pope Urban basically tells them, hey, guys, why are you guys fighting for? You're both have the same religion. You both worship the same God. You know? Don't look at what's different about you. Look what's the same. However, there's these Muslims who are basically trying to take over the Holy Land, and, we can't have that happen. We need you guys to go over there. Now, here's the thing. It's not a war. It's not a war. No. War is about getting money and territory and things like that, conquering. All we're doing is we are going on a pilgrimage. You guys are going over there to basically protect the homeland. The Holy Land where Jesus walked and things like that. That's what you're protecting. That's what you're saving. So again, it's not a war. It's not a war. It's a pilgrimage. So Britain and France actually stopped fighting. And this guy named Peter the Hermit, he went around different places in Britain, France, Germany, and basically recruited people saying, this is the calling, for those who love Jesus and love, believe that this and that about the Christian faith. This is calling all his faithful soldiers. We need you. So a lot of people went. Here's the thing. The whole thing was put together so quickly that nobody knew who was in charge. So you got all these nobles, all these knights, all together in one area. And it's like everyone starts saying, well, I'm in charge. And one group might be going out to fight. A group of them might just go out to fight. And the thing is, they would win. It was weird. Even though they had no plan, no leader to say, okay, this is what we're going to do next. No, these guys just went off and fought here or there and things like that in different ways. And it's miraculous in a sense that they won. Now, the thing is, one of the major reasons they won is because you have to remember, in the Muslim faith, it's not just Muslims. There's two groups that splinter off from one another, and that's the Shiites and the Sunnis. Thing is, the Shiites were not helping the Sunnis and vice versa. So when the Christian soldiers were fighting the Shiites, the Sunnis were like, well, we're not going to help them. Let them fight the Christians. So then the Christians start fighting the Sunnis. So then the Shiites were like, well, you know what? We're not going to help them. They didn't help us. Why should we help them? So that's one of the main reasons why they won the First Crusade. Now, when it comes to the Second Crusade, it's a total 180. The Christians are riding high. Hey, we won the First Crusade. We own this territory and things like that. Oh, let's see them try to come at us again. They do, and they just kick the crap out of the Christian soldiers. Just beat them silly. So, yeah, that wasn't that great. Alright, so for this question, you got a choice. You can either pick the top one or bottom one. The top one says, would you consider the Crusades a war, or was it really a pilgrimage? Were these guys really going over there to basically see the sights and basically protect the Holy Land? Or do you think they really were, remember, protecting is, hey, we're not going to conquer it, we're not going to keep taking and taking. No, we're just protecting the homeland, the Holy Land. Or do you think it really was a war? Do you think, no matter how you slice it, try to say, oh, we're only here to protect, you're still going over there, an area where you're not supposed to be, and you're trying to take over? That's a war. So which one do you think? Which one would you consider it to be? A war or a pilgrimage? That's the first one. The second one says, if the Shiites had helped the Sunnis, do you think that they would have fought back the Christian soldiers? Do you think they actually would have started winning and put, instead of all these miracle wins, do you think that maybe these Christian soldiers would be losing until they got pushed back to the ocean? Or I should say the sea? What do you think? Could they have fought back and defeated the Christians or no? What do you think? All right. So pick whichever question you want to answer. Pause the video because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So the Third Crusade, this one was pretty interesting. The Muslim leader, his name was Saladin. Okay, Saladin was a very smart general, especially when it comes to desert fighting. It's extremely smart. The Christian leaders, there was 3 of them. So Muslims had 1 leader, the Christians had 3. The first one, Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. Okay, he's from Germany. King Philip II, he was from France, and King Richard I, he was from England. He's also known as Richard the Lionheart. In the next video we have for this world history class, you'll be learning about Richard the Lionheart a little bit more, just a tiny bit. Okay, so Saladin had a plan. Take small places and hit the big ones. Small and then big. So that's what he did. He attacked small areas, got Damascus. Hit some small areas after that, hit Jerusalem. Then they took it. Okay. So then pressure came from the church, like, hey, these Muslims took Jerusalem. You need to get it back. So the Germans, French, and English soldiers go over there. They all like kind of split up, things like that. The German soldiers, they're beat up really bad. So they're like, okay, we're returning home. On the way back home, remember, the armor weighed about 90 pounds, right? Remember that? Frederick Barbarossa, he's on his horse with his armor. And all of a sudden, something spooks his horse. And they just so happen to be right by a river. And he falls into the river. And because he has all that weight, he cannot get up. He can't get the stuff off him, the armor and some of that. Why, you might ask? Because you have to remember, he's a king. He doesn't have to put on his stuff. So he doesn't know where the straps and the buckles and all that stuff are on his armor. His servants would do that for him. So he's probably trying to take the stuff off, and he's not able to, and he drowns in the river. Okay. Richard is basically instructed to go to Egypt and take it. So he does. But he says, like, there's no value in Egypt. There's nothing. Egypt's just Egypt. You're just making me conquer area. You're not really making me go to where the Holy Land is, the important part. Okay. So they go for the Battle of Jerusalem. Doesn't go too well. So then they have another fight. So then Saladin, he wins, and then he loses the control over Jerusalem. Then he attacks again. Now, he's about to win it. And Richard the Lionheart comes out, and they start talking. And basically what happens is Saladin tells him, makes a deal with him, says, if you surrender Jerusalem, I'll let all your men and women and whomever wants to get out of Jerusalem, they can get free. My men, nobody will harm them. Now, the thing is, him and Richard, while they're talking, this and that, Saladin tells them, I'm willing to fight to the last man. I'm willing to go to the last man. If that's me or someone else, we are ready to die to fight for this land. So now that Saladin gave this offer, Richard goes, okay, we'll take that. So they surrender Jerusalem so that all the soldiers and people who want to get out of Jerusalem can now get out. Okay. Now, here's one part of the Crusades that nobody really talks about. The Pied Piper of Hamelin and the Children's Crusade. Yes, in 1212, someone had the bright idea. Let's send the children of France and Germany. Let's send them to go fight and convert the Muslims. These are kids. And yet somehow these parents were like, yes, my child should go and fight and, to fight in the Crusades. And, it's like, what? Are you crazy? No. But they did. They sent off their kids. Some kids, along the way, they would get kidnapped. Some kids, when they made it to the ocean, their boats would sink. And they die. And some of them, I should say the rest of them, were basically kidnapped and put into slavery and stuff like that. So word gets around that these kids are being kidnapped, they're dying, they never really make it to the homeland or the Holy Land. So now these parents are basically, like, dang it, I set my child out. So they need a scapegoat. They need someone to blame. So they created a story that there was a person with a pipe who basically played the song and all the children followed him, and that's where the kids went. He kidnapped them all. The Pied Piper kidnapped the kids. Is that true? No, it's not true. The Pied Piper is a made-up thing. Okay? Later on, the stories would be that, the Pied Piper played his instrument to take the rats out of France and Germany and things like that. But originally, the story was he took the kids from the people of France and Germany, things like that, because he was upset at them. And when in reality, it was these parents who sent their kids off to the Middle East to fight in Jerusalem without any regard that, maybe my child won't be safe out there by themselves or with this group of people. Okay, so that's where the story comes from. All right, so here's your exit ticket. You're going to pick one of these three questions. The first one says, how did the Christian church grow more powerful during the Middle and Dark Ages? The second one says, if you were a knight, what type of armor would you want? Would you want light, medium, heavy? Remember, light, yeah, you can move quicker, faster, things like that, but you're less protected. Heavy, yeah, you're covered. It's going to be hard to get you, but you're going to be slow as heck, and it's going to be weighing you down. Okay? The last one says, do you think Saladin would have fought to the last man, or do you think he was bluffing when he told Richard the Lionheart, we'll fight to the end, to the last man? Do you think he was serious, or do you think he used that as a bluff? What do you think? All right, so once you've answered one of these three questions, you are done for this lesson. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. All right, I'll see you guys later. You take care, and you be safe, all right?